What is going on, Nerd Paraders and fellow survival game enthusiasts? Welcome to the channel, and thank you so much for coming to hang out with me here today as we talk about Enshrouded. Spoiling the video right away, have been really excited for Enshrouded from the moment that I first heard about it, and that excitement hasn't diminished since playing it. So we're jumping into it right away. We're spoiling the video. If you're curious about Enshrouded, that's the reason why you're watching this video. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think you're gonna like it? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna answer your question right now with my enthusiasm. The answer is yes. I think you're really gonna like it. Before we go any further, introductions are in order in case you don't know. My name is Nick. This is Nerd Parade. Welcome to the channel, guys, and thank you again for coming to hang out with me. So let's jump in and talk about Enshrouded. Now, Enshrouded puts you into the game pretty quickly and teaches and right away with the building system and tries to teach you the ropes. But there's a couple of things that you need to know that the game doesn't outright teach you from the get-go, and we're going to talk about that right now. Let's dig right into it, shall we? All right, when you first kind of complete the little tutorial area, and believe it or not, we are actually still in the little tutorial area here in the game, you are going to be kind of like thrust right into building. It's going to say, hey, put down a flame so that you can start to build. Now, this flame is going to be one of the first things that you build, and it's going to give you, if you have your build hammer out, we just looked at it, it's going to give you this like orange radius after you build the flame. So this is your area in which you can build. And in the beginning, I happen to perceive it as slightly restrictive. And what I mean by that is I think it's relatively small. Rest assured, it's okay. You can upgrade the size. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. You'll be collecting things. You can probably upgrade it relatively quickly if you want to focus on it. But we'll go into it since we're right here. So one of the first options when you interact is it tells you the building area. One of the things that you need to keep in mind is it's 40 by 40, yes, but also by 40. So X, Y, and Z axis, that means up and down. So you can really maximize a lot of cool things. I did some, in my first like 10 hours, has it been 10 hours? Yeah, actually it has, because I've done some really stupid stuff. In my first 10 hours in the game, we did some really weird tinkering stuff, and let's talk about that now, actually. I decided that I wanted to try to dig as far down as I possibly could. There's a couple of flaws with my logic here, but we did it. So I'm gonna put some footage up now. And you see this, like, we actually ended up digging down so deep that we were under the world, and like things stopped rendering in, but you could continue to dig down. Like, there's an infinite amount of digging, it seems. There's no bottom, it's just the textures stopped generating. It was very strange, but I literally sat there and dug for like 3 hours because I was committed to hit the bottom of like the bedrock. Essentially, I wanted to hit the bottom. I never did. I never hit the bottom. So I decided to shift that idea. And it's a good thing that I did, because we have discovered if you build out, this is really important. If you build out of your building area of the communal flame, if you build out of it, or you like dig out of it, like you go deeper than you are supported by that, if the server resets, or if you're playing single player and you save the game and log off, all of it regenerates back. That's one thing that and that's probably going to be one of the bigger ones that you should know right up front, is that stuff will regenerate back. If it's not protected, like it says at the bottom, flame protected area, if it's not protected, it will like reset completely. So me digging all the way down, like I showed you in that previous footage, the second I like logged out and then came back into the game, that hole was gone, poof. But the hole extended to the bottom of our little area here. And let me break some stuff to show you. So like down here where it says needs building area, I'm at basically the floor of that 40 by 40 by 40. The hole went to this area and stopped, despite me digging down for an eternity longer. So that's something really important to know. Now, as you've seen, you can upgrade the build zone. The next tier was like 80 by 80 by 80. And I'm certain there's going to be higher tiers than that, because there were some really cool base builds and things that definitely looked like it was bigger than 80 tiles in some of the screenshots and media footage. shown off with the game. So that's really exciting. So you can expand it. And on top of that, you can utilize at current moment, like in the game now, like as a new player, you can utilize 2 flames. You may be able to upgrade that to being able to utilize more later as you really kind of progress more, but you start off being able to only put down 2, and then you can't put down any more. So what I decided to try to do was to stack them, right? So I went 40. It was not a smart play because you can expand the radius. You don't need to do that. But what I tried to do in my quest, I wanted to be a dwarf, man. I wanted to like dig a subterranean tunnel and live under there. That was my freaking goal. I tried to stack, so I went to the 40 and I dug down. I dug down deeper, even though that I couldn't build anything. Then I placed the altar and then I dug down even deeper. It wasn't worth it. I like removed the ability for me to like put a base somewhere else. So I ended up taking that fire away. Like you can go in it, you could go to the altar and you could choose to extinguish the flame. And then it gives you like a 30-second countdown warning. The things that you've built in that flame that you've extinguished will go away. It'll poof, but not in that 30 seconds. It'll do it the next time you like log out. So you have some time to correct your mistake if you did it, but you do need the flame active to be able to break stuff down with your construction hammer. So I know that's like a lot of information that I'm kind of hitting you with here, but hopefully me showcasing some of it now will make that a little bit more clear. So we're going to jump into the building because the building is one of the coolest things so far, and one of the things I've fallen in love with Enshrouded. And if you know anything about me, Nerd Parade, or the history of Nerd Parade channel and survival games, is I love playing survival games, but the thing that always grips me the hardest is the building system. And there was a lot of good with the building system in Enshrouded, but there's a couple of like little flaws that may be corrected in future patches or may be corrected with things that you learn later on. And I'll talk a little bit more in depth on that here in just a second. But one of the really cool things is you see this is a terrain wall, right? So we could just build right through that terrain. And then if we realize like, oh, we made a boo-boo, you have an undo button. So you just control Z basically, and it's Y. But you control Z, like you undo it. Like, okay, poof, we got our stuff back, and it puts the terrain back. However, if we decide we want to remove that terrain, we just remove the build, and then boom, that terrain is gone. So you can kind of use build with as long as you're within the flame to dig. And that'll save you like a lot of headache when it comes to shaping the land. If we would compare this game to Valheim would have benefited from this system a lot. Because you had to like pre-dig and then build what you dug out. This kind of Enshrouded kind of like aims to simplify that, and it's good, in my opinion. I like it. I like that they did that. So that's one of the like positive things with the build system. Now, one of the things, since we talked about a positive, let's flip it and talk about a negative here. Currently, if we want to do anything outside of a square structure, meaning like our structures are relatively boxy. Let's say we want to build something at a 45-degree angle. We don't have the ability to do that yet. We might learn it later because we're still in the like early stages of the game. It might not exist at all, or it might be coming in a future patch. I would like to hope, because the build system, don't get me wrong, is super in depth, but a lot could come from being able to just rotate 45. You can only rotate 90 at the current moment. So let's jump in here to the build system, and you'll see, here, let's go to this wall right here. This wall right here. We'll just pretend we're gonna try to make it an angle. So we have a couple of options. We can disable snapping, which is really good. It allows you to like free place almost anywhere. This is fantastic, but you can only rotate 90 degrees. So you're limited in that aspect. And then you can like shift things forward, but that's more useful when you're like using snapping. My complaint here is that if you see like that castle kind of off in the distance, this is still the tutorial area, but every like one of those towers is kind of boxy, right? There's some depth, some dimension in there, like the 3D dimension, which you can achieve. However, if you want to build anything that's like round, like a tower, you're not going to be able to do that like right out of the gate. And that's my only gripe so far with the build system in Enshrouded. There is one small caveat to this, where you can achieve something round-ish, and it's by using the singular, like, one block placement that you can kind of like shape out something to be round. The reason why I still classify this as a flaw is because the amount of tedium involved into doing like it's not perfect, right? But the amount of tedium that you have to like go through to get something rounded is, in my opinion, like not worth it. When you could just like go here to a big boy wall and chunk it down, right? So it is achievable in a way to do something circular-esque, and I have to give credit where credit is due, but it's not made expressly easy on the player. And that's why I still like kind of like classify this as a small flaw in the system. Like my circles crap, right? They didn't make it easy on me, so I made a crap circle. It's still crap. Oh man, that was a lot to take in. We talked a lot about the building system. A lot. So we're gonna relax and cook some meat here in our little campfire. And similar to Valheim, if you played Valheim, you're gonna know about this system right away. If not, no big deal. I'm gonna tell you about it. You'll get raw ingredients like this raw wolf meat here, and if you interact with the campfire, you can cook it so that it doesn't give you food poisoning and gives you better regenerative stats. And speaking of regenerative stats, you'll notice that we are rested. So this is, again, another system that's very familiar to Valheim players. The rested status, it starts out at a base level of 5. My comfort is at a base level of 5. I have some stuff around here. It should be 8. Oh, there it goes. I'm just not in radius of it, I guess, or maybe it's just a little buggy because it's still early access. However, it seems to be about 1 minute per bonus comfort level. Base level is 5, and then base rested is 10 minutes. And we're currently at 8, so it's bumped me up to 13. What rested does is it increases your max stamina and it gives you increased stamina regeneration. So it's a good strong buff. And the reason you would want to increase your comfort and make sure that you're maximizing that is if you need to venture away from your base, so your home, you want to like increase the overall duration and take advantage of those benefits for as long as possible. Like say we're going to go on a quick 20-minute adventure in and out. Well, we only got, that's a Rick and Morty reference, that we've only got 13 minutes counting down now to go do that and maintain our boosted stamina and stamina regen. Stamina is used for everything, for fighting, for harvesting, for blocking, dodge rolling, everything. It's used for everything. Now, I mentioned dodge rolling, and that might pique some of your interests. Well, how is the combat like in Enshrouded? I'm gonna tell you. So we're making a bit of a swap here. You may notice that I had mouse and keyboard before, but I swapped to controller. And I'm doing this to show off that the controller support for Enshrouded is actually really, really good. It's really pretty intuitive. So much so that I may actually main playing on the controller as opposed to mouse and keyboard, but those of you guys playing on console will not have any problems whatsoever when it comes to like controller gaming. But the combat is going to be pretty similar to those of you that are used to action games, Dark Souls, things of that nature. It's smooth, it's fluid, it feels pretty good. And it's not all just hack and slash. It's magic and archery and all sorts of other things. And this is probably one of the biggest draws for me to Enshrouded, was this insane skill tree that you just don't see. You just don't see this in survival games. It's never before seen a skill tree like this in survival games. I fell in love with this like instantaneously. So let's go over some of the classes that you can specialize into. And yes, before anybody asks, if you don't like what you spec into, at the flame, you can respec. So I don't want to dive into like what each individual spec does, like what their abilities are, but I just want to talk about the specs overview, and I might do a separate video on the goods and bads out of each spec once I've had more time to dabble in and test each of them out. But you have Assassin, Ranger, Beastmaster, and Survivor. Those are colored green because they like are leaning more towards the archery pool, I feel like, and the ranged combat. Then you have your red classes, Athlete, Barbarian, Warrior, and Tank, which are probably like more melee, heavy armor, heavy weapons kind of stuff. And some of them even say like two-handed weaponry do more damage, such as Barbarian do much more damage with two-handed weapons. Talking's hard, forgive me. And your blue classes, Battle Mage, Healer, Wizard, and Trickster, which this one's pretty like, easy to understand. Your Mage, your Caster, those type of classes. There's weapons such as wands and staves and that kind of thing. So any type of magical weapon would probably favor intelligence stat and going down this tree. And you have some of your general stuff. The general stuff is actually really useful. Felling axes do 30% more damage against wooden objects, including trees. So it's for harvesting and for just general destruction. When I say general destruction, everything in this world, while it does regenerate if it's outside of a flame zone, if it's not protected by flame, it does regenerate. Everything in this world, almost everything in this world, can be interacted with and destructible. I just banished myself. I didn't mean to do that. This rock, you don't like it. It insulted your mother. You hate it and you want to mine it for stone. Well, we're going to do that very slowly, and we're going to get rid of it and put a big dent in it. There we go. This ground, it's getting dark. We're gonna dig into the ground, and we're gonna dig to China, which China looks very untextured and enshrouded. It looks weird. You can do that. Let's go over here and bully some of the structures. This is one thing that I was actually surprised, just the regular structures. We don't like this particular block, and we're gonna chip away at it until we destroy it. It's gonna take a little bit, but trust me, you can do it. We finally did it. We made some progress. You can't really tell it's dark. Of course it's dark. There we go. We made some progress. We just had to whack at it for like 6 solid stamina bars. You can do it. I have the lowest tier of pick. It's going to take 100 years, but you can do it if you don't like that particular piece of wool. It can be destructible. And that's something that I think is really, really cool. Really cool. So since we're kind of sunsetting our video because the sunset is setting in Enshrouded, we're going to head over here to our bed, sleep off the night, and bid you guys farewell. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope this video kind of puts Enshrouded on your map if it hasn't already been put there. Shaping up to be a really solid survival game. I'm super excited about it, like I mentioned earlier on in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves out there. Stay awesome. Come and hang with me again with a... Take care of yourselves. Stay awesome. And I'll see you in the next one. Later.